Hello doodads and dudettes. This is my first mail call video. I'm going to be opening some things we've ordered to do a bunch of projects here on the 8-Bit Doodad channel, and I hope you'll follow along with us.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 8-Bit Doodad's time!
First one just came from Amazon. And it's actually a pair of micro SD cards. We're going to be using these in an old style arcade machine that runs many arcade emulators, and we've actually gotten the file. I've got it downloaded on a USB drive, and I'm going to burn it as a project to one of these cards, and we're going to show you that emulator running in another episode. Okay, now this is a major project, and it's going to rely very much on my partner Greg, who has to do all the soldering. This is a complete computer, single board computer, to run CP/M. And as you can see here, there's actually a printed case for it, and the blue board where the CPU goes and all the supporting chips. And this kit included sockets for all the major components, the processor chip, oh there it is, and there's our processor, which is a Z80 compatible new edition processor, cables for plugging in a USB terminal, and this kit included all the components, everything that's needed to build this CP/M computer. In our links, we'll give you the details of where you can order this kit from if you're interested in building it yourself. And Greg will be making a video assembling and doing all the soldering to make this kit work. And when he's done, I'll be making another video to show how to install the operating systems and run programs like DBase and WordStar. By the way, this company's done a really good job that they not only printed a case for it, but they made very nice plates. It's called the ROM WBM CP/M computer. For those that are in the CP/M world, you've probably heard of this thing already. Our next box actually comes from Australia. Support CD. This is a hard drive emulator for TRS-80 Model I, 3, and 4s. And actually there's a version of this that can be made for the Model 2, 12s, and 16s. But this basically gives you an SD card interface, an emulator to a TRS-80 Model 3. I happen to have a TRS-80 Model 4P, and I'll be doing some videos installing this card and loading the various versions of the software. One of the things that was exciting to me about this particular project is not only will this run TRS-DOS and LDOS and many of the other TRS-80 Model 3 era operating systems, it will also on a 4P run CP/M. Came from Andromeda. sealed very well. Or I have a bad knife. Okay. Oh, I got it. And here we go. Ooh. 3D printed case. Motherboard. Oh, and I know what this is now. This is a BlueSCSI emulator that can be used with PCs, Macs, Apple IIs, anything that uses a SCSI device. And in fact, I believe I have in here 2 different kits. And I just lost half the parts for this kit. This is the standard old-style SCSI connector, 50 pin, and in fact I have a PC SCSI card here with this connector. This kit is designed to emulate a drive that would plug in there, and you can actually see the pins line up. It uses an SD card, and it uses one of these Unos to go in here and do a lot of the work. That's one kit. The other kit in here is a smaller version that has a DB25 and the same board to do the emulation and the kits. And in fact, Greg has in the past built several of these for me, and you can see here's one that's completely assembled with a DB25, and this can plug right into a SCSI card, or if you have the old style SCSI cards, it has a Centronics 50 parallel interface. This one has the ribbon cable interface, which I didn't have, so I'm glad to see that. But more importantly, this is a new version of this. This is version 1. These are version 2. And the difference is, while these can emulate a hard drive, the version 2 has an option where you can make it believe it's a computer and plug an existing SCSI drive into it, and it will download the contents of your existing SCSI drive onto the SD card, allowing you to move from an existing spinning media to an emulator, and then turn the switch and these become emulators for your systems. I'm really looking forward to doing that project. Of course, we need Greg with his soldering skills to actually put this all together. A utility item that I found on Amazon and after reading someone's blog, and it looks real simple: audio jack, an audio connector, and what this is a ground loop isolator. If you've ever had external speakers on your PC and you know you're plugging them in and unplugging them and you hear that buzzing and that noise sound, it's because the speakers are being grounded differently than how the PC is being grounded, and it creates that noise. One of the places in the vintage world we run into that is if we're trying to record off of, say, the speaker system in an Apple II to a YouTube video, because the Apple is going to be grounded different than whatever the PC we're recording on is, you'll end up with some of that static. This isolates that and helps you avoid that problem. So, and it was actually very cheap on Amazon, $8. We'll put a link in the message section if you're interested in it. The next thing is actually Apple II oriented as well. And I know we talk about Commodores and Ataris and TRS-80s. So this is the Apple Day, you might say. And let me open this up. And as you can see, the name on the box, FujiNet. This is a very popular project right now that a lot of people are working on. And what this is a network interface from computers and providing some additional services. And we'll get into FujiNet as a separate video. But they have FujiNets now for the Apple II. They have it for the Atari. and there's betas and testings going on, development for the Commodore 64, for the S100 machines, and for several other vintage computers. But this is, I got the assembled complete FujiNet setup, which comes with the cables, and here's the FujiNet adapter, and you can see it uses a DB19. That's a standard interface on the Apple IIc and the Apple GS, and an Apple if it has a Lyron card or something compatible to a Lyron card, and if you're in the Apple II world, you know what that means. But they also provide adapters that allow you to interface it to a standard disk controller in an Apple II. This has an SD card, it has its own software and firmware and everything, and it can, because it's plugged into the disk drive port, it can emulate disk drives. But one of the very cool features is instead of emulating a disk drive on a local storage card, it has Wi-Fi enabled, connects to your network, and you can have a server that are serving up the disk images. So instead of having to load the SD card all the time, you can simply change what it's talking to. They've also provided some APIs, and people are writing code to do multiplayer games using the network interface built into this, so that you could do something like Texas Hold'em played on an Atari, a Commodore, and an Apple II all at the same time, and they all share that FujiNet interface. So that's an exciting project I'm looking to delve more into. And lastly, for today's video call, this is actually brought to us by the 8-bit guy. He had mentioned it, and Greg had ordered a couple of these for us. This is a Game Boy, Nintendo Game Boy emulator, a brand new, built on with today's technology, that emulates a color Game Boy, but it also has a way to connect to your TV, and it has 400 installed emulated games, and 2 of these got shipped to us for like $22. We're going to do a video comparing playing on this, well, playing on the original as well, and how they stack up.